Welcome to Bay State Golf. I'm Sean Melia. I'm trying to play every golf course in the state of Massachusetts. I've played 142 of about 350 over the last 5 years. Today I'm going to tell you about two golf courses that are very expensive during peak season in the state that you can play for off-season and shoulder season prices, save a bunch of money, and play some really, really good golf courses. Real quick before we get to the video, would love if you just subscribe to the channel. Helps people find this information as I'm trying to share out a bunch of different topics about Massachusetts golf, New England golf, and help you find new courses to play. You can also subscribe to my newsletter, which you can find at baystategolf.beehive.com. Send a free newsletter out every Friday if you want to help support what I'm doing and the work I'm doing around the state as far as finding new golf courses, playing public tracks that might go under the radar. You could also become a paid member, get early reviews, get some extra content every week, every month from me. Let's get to these two golf courses that require boat rides, but I think are worth checking out at least one of these two before the peak season rates hit. All right, first course is Miacomet on Nantucket. I played here at the very end of March in pretty cold weather. It was 42 degrees, it was blowing, it wasn't very sunny, so I think I learned what my threshold of cold golf is. It's about 42 degrees with a 2-club wind. It was pretty brutal. But the golf course is in very good shape right now. If you are someone looking for good conditions, we are now in, score posting season. It is April. So if you want to go and play 18 holes, keep a score, feel like you have a fair chance at maybe making some putts, Miacomet is not a bad place to go check out. Miacomet at mid-season, peak season price in the summer when the island is packed with people is $275 to walk. That is a lot of money. I paid $70 to walk. They gave me a free pull cart, and we had really no one around us. Didn't have the place to ourselves, but it was a pretty quiet day out on the golf course on a Sunday at the very, very end of March. Miacomet also has a kind of shoulder season price that you can pay. It's a little bit more. You can pay $150, and that's from May 1st to May 23rd. So if you want to pay $70, you've got to go and play it at any point in the month of April. But once the calendar flips to May, it's $150. May 24th, then you're forking over the peak fee. So if you want to go see this golf course, it hosted a USGA Mid-Am in 2021. I caddied in it when I was out there. That was the first time I saw the golf course. I played it last April. I did a day trip last April. This past week, I was actually on the island for a few days with my wife. We just took a long weekend, got out of the city, went to probably the most quiet place you could find in the state right now. Not a lot of people on Nantucket. A lot of places are closed, but the golf course is open. Last year I did a day trip and I played with 3 guys who took a ferry over. Noah from Golfers Anonymous was one of them, and he brought 2 of his buddies. It was something kind of a bucket list trip he wanted to do. They took a 9 a.m. ferry from Hyannis, arrived at about 10:05. I picked them up. We drove to the golf course, about 10-minute drive. We were on the golf course. I mean, we could have gone out at 10:30 if we wanted to. We kind of got warm. Some of the guys hit some golf balls. We chipped, we putted, and we were on the first tee at like 11 o'clock. We played in 4 hours. I dropped them back off at the ferry. They had dinner and got the 4:30 ferry back home, and we're on the mainland by 5:30. And then they got to drive home to Brighton, however long that can take on a Sunday evening. But you can do the day trip. If you add in the ferry and maybe having to grab a taxi, there's taxis at both ferry stops. So if you're worried about getting from the golf course or to the golf course, there are taxis. When I went in April, the taxi driver gave us his card and we called him directly when we finished. He came and grabbed us and we made our ferry. So you can do that whole trip, even probably including lunch or dinner after the round for what the price of a whole round would cost peak season. So $70 up until April 30th, and then $150 from May 1st to May 23rd. Highly recommend. They just aerated, or they're about to, from what I saw on Instagram. I'm recording this on April 2nd. So if you go in like the next week or two, the greens might be a little bit sandy, maybe a little bit bumpy. But man, if you can play during April vacation week, or even just you could pay a little bit extra in May, $150 is a pretty great deal. Make it a day trip. The bunkers are super unique. It is a challenging golf course. The greens when we played on at the very end of the month were pretty good. Like they rolled nicely. And if you're someone who's looking for a good test with good conditions, Miacomet is worth a little bit of an adventure if you are the adventurous type and want to go play a really good golf course for a small amount of money. The weather should be warm enough you could steal a day if you have that kind of flexible schedule, or you have a little bit of time off during April vacation. The second golf course is not on Nantucket. We have to go to Martha's Vineyard, to Farm Neck Golf Club, another excellent public golf course on Martha's Vineyard. It is $330 to play during peak season, which is a lot of money. I did not play it this spring. I got to visit it. They're doing some work right now on the back nine. Last year they did some work on the front nine, and it will be all ready to go in May. So Farm Neck is not a golf course that's like Miacomet that stays open throughout the entire winter. They close, then they open in May, and they have a winter rate, an early season rate, then they have a shoulder rate, and then they get to the super high rate of $330 once the middle of June hits. So you have a little window in May and the beginning of June where you can get to play Farm Neck for a little bit cheaper. I spent a day out there on April Fool's Day, April 1st, took a ferry ride over. This ferry ride is much shorter than the one that you have to take to get to Nantucket. It's about a 35-40 minute ride. I paid $10, $10.50 each way, so it was a $21 ride. You got to pay for parking, so it's another $17. But I was lucky enough to be there with Mark Mungem, who's doing the design work on the golf course. So we got picked up by Andrew Nisbet, who is the superintendent. He gave us a ride over, so I got a free ride, which was nice. I did not play any golf. I walked the golf course. I kind of watched Mark and the team build some bunkers and do some different stuff for the day. Got a bunch of footage of it. The front nine was done last winter, so the front nine is completely done and kind of ready to be played whenever they want to open it. Got to check out some of that part of the golf course too, and it's going to be kind of ready to go when they open. On their website, they list May 2nd as their opening date, and you can play Farm Neck starting on May 2nd to May 22nd for $150. So it's about the same price. It is the same price as Miacomet, which is $150 starting on May 1st. So you could go and play either one for $150, and that is from May 2nd to May 22nd. And then from the 23rd to June 16th, it's a $220 round to play at Farm Neck. Really good golf course. Another place that you get, a pretty good discount if you go a little bit earlier in the year. I mean, June on the Vineyard up till the middle of June, to have that as your rate is pretty solid, because the golf courses just feel like they're a little bit more ready. The conditions are a little bit better. So if you could sneak over in early June or late May, you can get a pretty good deal out of playing Farm Neck. The thing that stands out to me about Farm Neck are the views are amazing. There's a bunch of holes, 3, 4, 5 in particular, standing on the third tee box, and you can kind of see out onto Vineyard Sound. Is pretty stunning. A couple other spots, 14, 15, 7, and 8, all holes that are on the water, near the water, water views. Really nice. The golf course too, Mark Mungem's done a nice job just opening it up. The front nine has, especially that 3, 4, 5 stretch is incredible. They took a bunch of trees out that separated 3 and 5 and just made this really cool waste bunker area. Just standing up there it's pretty amazing. And that's Farm Neck. It looks like, from what I saw, I have not played it in many years. I think I played it in high school when I went over and visited a friend on Martha's Vineyard, and we were able to get out there. So I've not played it in a very long time. I had really not a strong recollection of any of the holes except for 14. That was the one in my mind's eye that I certainly remembered. Another one that kind of plays out towards the water. And Mark Mungem he's taken out a bunch of bunkers. So from what he told me, they had about 91 bunkers when he started the project last winter, and they will have maybe around 60. So taking out bunkers, making the course more playable for more people. A lot of short grass around greens. They didn't do a lot of work on greens. They're flattening out tees, redoing bunkers, putting bunkers together, 2-3 bunkers that they're just making one. Just finding some new ways to present the golf course in a new and interesting way. And for $220 or for $150, it is another trip that is worthwhile. So if you can get to one or the other, if you can get to both during this kind of early season spring golf time, you should absolutely try to make a point to get some buddies, to get some friends, hop in a car, drive down to Woods Hole or Hyannis, and take the ferry ride across. Now I know that it's kind of the farther you get from Hyannis and Woods Hole, the harder the trip is. I live in Boston, so the drive when you go down early enough in the morning does not take too long. I went to Martha's Vineyard on a Tuesday, took a 8:15 a.m. ferry. I was on the island before 9 o'clock. You can leave at 6:30, hop on the shuttle at the parking lot, and make your ferry pretty easily. So you can drive, if you're comfortable driving an hour and a half, getting up early in the morning, and you want to go play some really good golf at a good discount. Miacomet and Farm Neck are absolutely two places worth seeing before they get really, really expensive at peak time when the islands are bursting with tourists and people want to play a bunch of golf. So go check out one of those two golf courses. What are some other shoulder season, off-season rates? Maybe there's spots in Maine as their season starts a little later, Vermont, New Hampshire. Drop some thoughts in the comments. Where do you like to try to get your shoulder season, off-season golf for a little bit cheaper before things get a lot pricier when the grass is greener and the conditions are really, really pure? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.